All right, glad to have you back. Residents of Badagry over the weekend received various rewards, including food items, cash, free transport vouchers, health insurance enrollment as part of Lagos State Government's new circular economy initiative designed to promote sustainable development and practices across the state. The event saw a large turnout of residents who eagerly exchanged their waste materials such as PET bottles, rubbers, and other disposed household items for food items like rice, gari, and instant cash transfers directly into their bank accounts. The initiative, titled Eco-Circulate, was organized by the Office of the Special Advisor on Climate Change and Circular Economy, led by Mrs. Titilayo Oshodi.
There is need for us to first begin to simulate the ideals and the model of circular economy. You know, we've already started, doing this over a period of time in Lagos. There has been a lot of work that has been done with the Ministry of Environment through LOMA. But I think the gap is in sustaining that behavioral attitude. Understanding that our people need primarily to be incentivized. They need to understand the benefits that is inherent in them being able to responsibly manage their waste.
All right, then. She's live in the studio to talk more about this. I have the essay to the governor here, Mrs. Titi Oshodi. Thank you so much. It's good to have you here.
Thanks. That's such a pleasure to be here. Like I said, I'm a distant fan.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I think Lagos, with a population of over 20 million, and you're talking about waste of about 13,000 tons. Is that on daily basis?
No. 13,000 tons is on daily basis. Yes.
Right. How have we been managing our waste before we got to this point? I think we should start.
So we can both tell how we've been managing our waste because we see the impact of the deficiency in the irresponsible management of waste. It has affected our lives, it has affected our drainages, it's affected our health, it's affected our food, in so many ways. The irresponsible and indiscriminate disposal of our waste is resulting in the blockages that we are already experiencing, and that is also ultimately affecting the climate. So even though we have the infrastructure, but there's a lot of pressure on the existing infrastructure that we have in Lagos. So we need to start being creative around how each household within the communities starts to manage their waste so that we can reduce that ultimate pressure on our infrastructure.
How receptive have Lagosians generally been with regards to taking advantage of the positive of circular economy?
Well, circular economy is just almost like a very nice, brandished way to say, how do you manage your waste? How do you reduce or recycle your waste? Like I've said, that we, in the line of home management, there are quite a number of things that we normally do with regards to circular economy, as simple as how you repurpose your food when it is when you have remnants, how you repurpose your jeans. If you really, really like it and you're attached to it, either you want to turn it into a shredded jeans, or you want to turn it into a pair of shorts, or you want to open it up. So there are quite a number of little principles like that guide the ideology of circular economy in itself. But, at this time, what we want to do is take it a notch further and make it a bit more bigger in scope, so that we're addressing it in terms of industrial, in terms of, business enterprises, because we already have MSMEs, the nano and the micro, who are already working in that space. And like I said again, that, the Ministry of Environment through LOMA had actually drawn a model like this. Remember that there was a time that bins were, introduced into households. But the gap, plastics and, in being able to sort, at source, but I think that, this is a behavioral attitude. Okay, and also understanding the psyche of the predominant target audience that we are trying to communicate with. So the average person is not necessarily keen on the way he or she disposes her waste because she's more bundled with achieving her own financial sustainability, you know, and in their work of life, you know, it's more prevailing for them to reach out to what will come into the pockets. So that's why we want to navigate that transitioning of the mindset to say that there's a benefit from an economic perspective if you are more aware and more willing to dispose of your waste so that you do not use it to affect your wealth or your health and affect the environment. But then again, the key leverage is that you can actually earn something into your pocket in the process.
And that one sounds very good. Everyone wants to earn something.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the initiatives you're doing as a state to address all of this.
So the Eco-Circulate is a transformative approach, you know, that is designed specifically for communities. And this time around, we are hinging the sustainability of it on our nano and our micro businesses, okay? So first and foremost, just helping them to understand that Lagos State has various agencies which are infrastructural, and they have mandates to be able to provide some level of ease in the quality of life that they live. Transportation is one of them because we already have that integrated model system where they can have access to either the rail or the waterways or, you know, BRT buses. You know, there's the health insurance, which Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu has also mandated that every citizen should be able to have. You know, so we're saying that if we can channel benefits through these platforms, you know, and also create an opportunity for them through transfers, because we already have enterprises who play in that space for collection. We have those who sort, we have those who aggregate, we have those who collect plastics, you know, textile, oil, cooking oil, black oil from cars, e-waste, you know, and they play in those spaces. If I tell you, you know, that we had those partners on the ground at Badagry that we activated over the weekend. And as of Saturday or Sunday, they had sent in a cost and credited the accounts of, you know, to the value of the waste that they collected.
Wow.
Yes, the person who, and e-waste was low on the priority list, was low on the collection list, but the highest was plastic, and I will shock you, textile. You would imagine that for the people who are in the bottom of the pyramid, they shouldn't have so many clothing to give. Wow. But there were tons. We were able to retrieve at least 2.3 tons of textile, you know, in one day. And it was not a full day, right? So there are so many areas, and the textile has been, you know, proven to be the third greatest pollutant globally. Yes, we generate about 42 million, you know, of tons on an annual basis of waste generally. Yeah. And textile comprises 14 to 15% of it, you know, on a global level. Oh. So if that's what we're talking about, and we're saying that even for the bend down boutique and the what do you call the second-hand ones, you know, are coming in and they're using this place as a dumping ground, then if there is value, then there's economic opportunities in those spaces, in those sectors, in those areas of industry within the waste management sector. So that is what Eco-Circulate is about. We're opening up the opportunities, we're unlocking the potentials for our young ones to see that, you know, for their daily urgent 2K, or for, you know, to be able to start a business. Eco-Circulate can actually provide that access to market for businesses. It can also help the already existing businesses to scale, because if we look at replicating this model across the 57 local governments, what it means is that we can establish a revenue generation opportunity, and then we can also build business cases that will attract businesses and partners, you know, to help inject capital for the proliferation of this industry.
So you mean gradually we are moving to that point where waste and all of that, we won't just see them being burnt and all of that?
So the idea, our plan and our hope and vision is that we can begin to have people hold onto their waste. They begin to hoard their waste.
Yeah.
Because there are inherent values that are positioned. For Badagry, we had cooking oil, we had black oil, we had textile, we had plastic, Also understanding that because we wanted to draw data from what has happened on Saturday, we can effectively say that Badagry has more waste, predominantly in the area of plastic and textile. Cooking oil, because of that socioeconomic demographic, was not particularly, present, because they would use their oil, they would continue to use their cooking oil and bleach it until it is dry in the pot, and understandably so. The black oil would come from the carburetors and the cars, isn't it? But because they're predominantly walking distance, they're not so, mobility in terms of automobile is not high in that space as well, So these are the sort of data that we want to pull from a simulation such as this that would help us to be able to design the framework and the sort of policies that would help to derive the business case for partnership and for funding. And so Eco-Circulate Badagry was our very first pilot. The intention right now is that we're going to go back and going to do a review, and then we can design a report that we're going to present, and then we will test and simulate 2 other locations so that we have at least some baseline, quantitative and evidential data, and then we can use that to present and pitch for funding and for partnership as well.
Brilliant. I'm sure this is large, and this is not going to be the only initiative you'll be looking at. Because I know you did something about leave no one behind.
Yes,
at the time you did that.
Yes.
So what more are we looking at? What more should Lagosians expect from your office?
So we want to move away from that talk shop
very
aspect.
important.
We want to begin to create, moments of experience so that we're able to draw and pull out factors that can help to underline the operations going forward. Leave no one behind was a test on how we could aggregate data, but more importantly, how we could develop competences in translating and conversion of waste into functional household items. We also used that model to drive green energy. So also understanding that toxic organic waste, which is the food that is generated from the kitchen, and accumulation of it is able to provide green energy, what you call cooking energy in our kitchen. And we had demonstrated that at the correctional facility at Idiaraba. We're beginning to talk with the ministry as well because they want that replicated across all of the correctional facilities in Lagos. But that also means that if we have facilities that are big enough and they're generating a lot of waste from their kitchen, then that means we can actually institute or establish that sort of model so that they can reduce the cost of LPG gas, and they can also reduce the health, the degradation of their health by exposing themselves to fossil fuel and charcoal, as it were.
Yeah.
So for communities, it depends on what the needs are within that community. There will be some communities that we will do a needs analysis and we will say, I think more prevalent among them would be to provide green energy.
Yeah.
The sort of biogas that can fuel their street lights or that can fuel, the generation of water. There's so many things. But so at each point in time, each location would have a differentiated approach as to how into how we provide solution within circular economy. But every solution or every innovation that we bring in, we use the principle of circular economy, which is waste management, to provide that solution for them.
Reuse,
reduce, and
reduce.
Yes, reuse, reduce, and recycle.
I really went through it.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
But before I let you go, from challenges, are there challenges in all of this? I know funding is key,
Yes.
but the partnerships will lead to the funding. So I think it's a state-by-state thing,
Yes.
and you are moving.
Yes.
What challenges are
I think that, the idea in itself is technically viable. It's a technically viable, but we will always have that stakeholder management, organizational implementable positioning. So, for instance, with Eco-Circulate, we have collaborated with quite a number of ministries. The Ministry of Agriculture, because we know that we need to drive food security.
Yeah.
The best language that anybody will hear is food. If you're telling me, in fact, at a point, when we had started to serve and taking notes of people who were dropping the textiles, we at some point, we were asking them, what would you like? Would you like transfer of money, or would you like food? And they had said, oh, just give me food. So we had bags of rice, we had bags of gari, and the Ministry of Agriculture, through the Eco, they've already started to be absolutely. So, they were able to give us some bags that we rebagged, and we were able to give. We're working with LASRA, because LASRA also has the mandate, the Residential Registration Agency. They have the mandate to also capture data about the residents in Lagos, and we worked with them. They were also able to achieve quite a bit. We're working with the social health insurance scheme as well, like I said, because health is wealth. We had a lot of old citizens, on ground at that space, and they also were able to achieve. And with their cards as well, we can arrange the sort of partnership that gives our citizenry the access, to health, by gradually helping them to build points and discount on their health scheme. And of course, you can't go wrong with Lamata on our Cowrie cards. The Cowrie card is a fantastic invention that is really, really working with millions and millions of people in Lagos. The blue rail is already operating on that. The red rail is coming. You would imagine the ease of life, the quality of life, the productivity, and the clean energy that also we can count as our global stocktake within the Ministry of Transportation. So if you do not want food, you can have easy access to transport. If you don't want that, you can have access to your health. There's various options. Like it was a bazaar. It was a bazaar, for that day. And, we have local governments that are also opened up. They have worked, the ministry, the commissioner for local government and community affairs, and the special advisor were very, very, very useful and, helpful in helping to develop the supports. And the local, the CDAs, the LCDAs too, have been very, very supportive. So it is a web of different stakeholders that we must ensure that there is an easy flow, there is, that involvement, and we have to ensure that we're carrying everybody along, because each person have a part to play within that ecosystem. And of course, we cannot do without our partners, the people who provide the technology, to make these operations as easy as possible. We also have the MSMEs. We personally have what we call the EBN network, the Economy Business Network, where we're curating enterprises, nano, micro, medium, and we're providing business supports for them, because if our businesses are the ones sitting and handling the operations of the places that we activate as collection centers, because they're business people, they will establish the models for the sustainability and the functionality of these operations. So that's why this time around we are routing it around the businesses for the communities, so that they will open up the space for job opportunities. They will open up the space for revenue generation. I tell you this much, the lady who packed up the tons of textile actually retained and called in some of the elderly ones, women, to help with the sorting of that textile. They were, because, with clothing, you have to take out the buttons, you will take out the linings, you will take out, these women were more than ready, to provide their support, and they were paid for it. So imagine if we scale that on a larger scale, and we have within each local government, we have like 3 to 4 different collection centers with clear segregation of the types of waste that they come in, that they bring. And they have people on the ground there who just, see their children off to school, and they can just do a part-time walk into the collection center. Within a few hours, they can do some work, and get some stipends into their pocket, and they can go back home and cook and get ready for their children. How much of a difference will that make? So those are the sort of models that we want to drive. And those are all sitting within the Sustainable Development Goals, the collaboration and partnership, the drive for zero hunger, the enterprise development that we need to establish, there's so many ways. Climate action, is also one of them. There's so many points and nodes within the Eco-Circulate and the Leave No One Behind project that we have done. We have quite a number. We have Charity Begins at Home, which we also want to do within Alausa, because Alausa in itself is a big community, the secretariat in Alausa. We're beginning to work on that as well, because once we start it and we incite that excitement within people, then the word will go out, people will be more embracing and more endearing to their ideas.
And we'll keep a tab on you. Try to have you in so that we monitor and evaluate, because that's one thing many would like to know.
Yes.
Beautiful initiative. Are we monitoring? Are we checking?
Yes.
And that's very
It keeps us on our toes. It keeps us on our toes as well.
Exactly.
Know that we're being checked upon.
Amos, thank you so much. Brilliant conversation. Special advisor to the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, on climate change and circular economy, Mrs. Titi Oshodi. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon.
Have a good day.
All right then.